Hey, welcome back to the channel. It's awesome that you're tuning in. So here on the Wicked Gamer Collector we talk about the Pandora box very often. And the reason why, because there are so many out there. I just call this the Pandora jungle. Because it is basically a jungle of Pandora boxes. And here on the channel I try to find the best one so you don't need to waste your money on the crappy versions. So in this video I wanted to talk about the Pandora Games 3D. It's very confusing because there are a couple of main boards out there that they are basically calling the Pandora Games 3D. I found this device secondhand and I was very happy to obtain one because I wanted to make a review about it for a very long time. It's a very interesting mainboard, a little bit older, but nevertheless you really need to see this. So I would say stick around and let's talk about the Pandora Games 3D. So let's talk about the version I have here. So what you're going to get if you're ordering some Pandora game systems, basically what they're doing, they're going to grab the main board from the shell, they're going to put it in this little white shell or a different color. We're going to get this little button for turning it on and off, and we're getting controllers. So I already put it in the USB connection over there. Alright, so it's a little bit of a weird situation over here, because if you look at the Pandora box, we're having two USB connections over here, but can only use one. And that's the reason why we're going to get this USB hub, so we can connect more than one controller. We're having setting button, volume control, we have an audio jack, we're having here the VGA connection, HDMI out, that is one we're going to use in this video, and we're having the power supply that goes in here. So we're having the basic version, and also having the other one, but now it doesn't even matter which version, they are all 12 volts 2000 milliamp. So a quick explanation for the people who have no clue what a Pandora box is. So basically what it is a main board that contains, let's say, the emulators, that's plug and play, and you can use it and supporting different systems. So what you already can see over here, that we're having here this little preview. With every game you select you're going to get a preview. It's a little bit bigger than the previous model, I like it. So the layout itself is beautiful. By pressing down and up you go to the next game, but I already noticed that it responds very fast. Pressing left and right we can go to the next page. Here we can see we're on page number 1 of the 220. There are quite some different games. It's a little bit of a shitty list if it comes to alphabetic order, because sometimes you just basically mess it up. As you can see with the three-dimensional games, they give this a little different color in this version. Alright, when pressing the start button on the controller, we're going to get this very nice menu where you can search for your games and even have this little categorized system. So that's pretty nice. So I'm pressing, for example, some letters, it automatically goes here in the right list. We're having all of the different games. As you can see, we're having three-dimensional games like Mortal Kombat 4 for the PlayStation 1, and we're having main. So we're going to test some more out and just to see how they are running. Nevertheless, what you're going to get is very different, like different Pandora boxes. So I'm very curious how the games are going to run. The menu doesn't support quick load, quick save. That's a little bit of a bummer if you look at the latest version of the Pandora box. So this is what you're going to get when pressing select within a game. But sadly there is a small minor problem. Because as you can see I'm playing now with player 2. And I tried with different controllers, but it seems to be with this main board the USB connection can only be used with player 2. So I picked this thing up like it is, and it's more like this, let's say it's a game system, but at the end it doesn't work because we can only play with player 2. But when it comes to PSP games that is supported by this box, we can't use them simply because we're only having and play 2 with the controls. Ugh.
Get ready.
And sadly, if you want to play N64 with a controller, it's not possible, even with the 2-player mode. Beside that, the problem, it doesn't even respond. So, N64 is pretty unplayable if it comes to the controller function with this Pandora Games 3D. So with this version, we have some new options. For example, we can change the image optimization. And the little fun fact is that it has the scanline option like the latest Pandora boxes. So strange that it does have this option if you look at the newest, and it is a little bit older version. Select mode and all the other stuff is just here like the previous models, including burst settings for shoot 'em ups, for example. I just want to do a quick chit chat regarding the controller. So we're having the wireless and the wired edition from the brand Ucom. And they look like PlayStation 2 controllers, but they feel very flimsy and very cheap. They are playable, the D-pad is pretty decent, but in overall it's not to be compared with the original Sona hardware. It's just a basic cheap rip-off with chemical plastic. Alright, so let's take a close look at the mainboard itself, because there are quite some differences between the mainboard if it comes to the specifications, the chipset they are using, and even the little cooler, because this, I really like it. It got the copper cooler. If you look at different models, even the newer models have different fans. So the first generation were like freaking vacuum cleaners. They fixed it, so I'm very pleased with it. So let's do a removal of the little cooler. It's very easy to do. What you need to do is, I hope you can see it on the camera. You need to squeeze these little two things over here and push it outside. And when you're doing it right, you will pull it out, or you can pull them out. Let's see if I can. It's a little bit tricky. You need to use a lot of force sometimes, but at the end you're getting the point. Alright, when you're done, you can just pull it off. I'm going to clean it up. I will use some new cooling paste, because what I'm seeing is not very good and I need to clean it for the video. Alright, so this is very interesting at the start. So let's give you a little bit of a tour. What can we do with this mainboard? Because there were some little interesting things I don't see with other mainboards. Alright, so let's talk about specification and what are we going to get with this device and where it's running on, because it's quite interesting, to be honest. So let's talk about the chip itself. It's an AIM-Logic S812 that has a quad-core CPU. The Mali 400 MP6 GPU that is running on 600 MHz is one of the fastest in this 8 series. But it's also very interesting that if you look at this chip and you're going to check Wikipedia, for example, you will see that this device is being used in Android. So in other words, this full mainboard runs on Android. Here we're having 4 chips. In total we're getting 4 GB of RAM. In this side we're finding a little 2 GB flash chip, and this contains the Android files, and that is the files we are needed for booting up the system. There is no way to modify it so far I know. So here we have the CF card. It's a 32 GB CF card. You can upgrade it if you want to up to 128 GB. But there's only one thing you need to consider. You can just basically copy paste and make a backup and increase your card. But the main problem I'm having with these cards, and because this way they have created these mainboards, it's very hard to add games. There's only series 1 folder, that's the download folder, and it is a nightmare to add new games on this CF card. So at the end they are using still, of course, old technology if you look at the new TV boxes. But it is not bad at all. It's quite powerful. A lot of RAM. This GPU itself is a little bit older, Mali 450 version, but still it's very powerful. And if you look how the games are running, it's not bad at all. So, and overall, it's a big improvement of all the older versions I've reviewed in the past. Alright, so the emulation of many of these games is not bad at all. And it's very surprising that we're having an old box that has so good performance. And I'm just going to be honest to you, I didn't see this Pandora Games 3D that often, and I think that is the reason why it is very obscure and you don't find it, let's say, very easily on AliExpress, for example, or Amazon. But if you can find it and you find it in a normal Pandora box, I will make a review separately how it works. With the controller function, it's not a good idea. But if you hook it up to your arcade machine, or you're just buy a Pandora box dual arcade and you want to play with, let's say, 3 or 4 players, keep in mind that is not possible. It will always see the controller like player 2. It doesn't even matter how you connect it. It doesn't even matter how many controllers you're going to connect. One USB port, and sadly only one supports the player 2 and no player 1. So basically a lot of games are unplayable, and that's a shame. So if you find this Pandora Games 3D, this version that I've shown you here in the video, with a controller, just avoid it and buy the full arcade stick, or just better said, buy the newest versions, because these are better with supporting of the controllers. There is no way of putting it in the settings like in player 1, player 2, there's nothing to do about it. So this is what you're going to get. But I thank you for watching, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit the little bell. And I will see you in the next video.